peeked in Jungkook's game room only to see him cursing and being seriously focused on the screen in front of him. Obviously, he thought to spend his only free day on games. It's been 6 hours since he's in there yelling, cheering, and experiencing roller coaster of emotions since the game is much more important to him than merely anything. And I would not have mind him playing so much in a day because I know how obsessed he can get over games. But it's frustrating because he especially called me over yesterday morning so we could spend weekend together as my roommate went on a vacation and he was worried to let me live alone. Not that I'm a child or too immature that I can't even take care of myself because God knows why he felt the sense to have me in front of his eyes 24/7 until my roommate comes back. So here I was in his apartment, not to mention how messy boys are, stuck in his apartment, and he's here too busy to even glance at me. Not that I could do something in his place, because I know I just can't treat it like mine. It would be too disrespectful. I glanced at the clock. 7 p.m. it was, and tomorrow is again a Monday, which means we'll be too busy in our own lives to have some time together. I didn't want it to be like those partners in a relationship who don't know how important personal space is for someone, even if that human loves you too much. And I know for a fact that he never treated me like a jerk. Not that he will, but I was getting too bored, and it's already been hours since he decided to play. Unwillingly sighing, I opened the door and stood leaning at the frame. Thankfully, he actually looked at me for a second before turning his head to the screen again. Hi, babe, he said with a soft smile. But I didn't budge a bit. In fact, I stood there with same black expression. He might have sensed my mood, as after a few seconds he again looked at me, this time taking out his headphones. You need something? Straight up short question, which I really hate, since he barely speaks properly full sentence ever in general. I could have just pointed out how I'm craving for his attention, but my irritation took over and I answered, I'm going home. No, you're not. Out of all the mood, he actually chose to be serious. Wow. What do you mean, no? He looked a bit confused at my certain persistence, but was clearly annoyed that I brought up this topic. I think I informed you well that you'll be with me until your roommate will be back. He just did one last overall glance at me and went back to his game. This was really annoying. I have nothing to do here and I'm getting bored, I said, trying to act that I really hate spending even a second here more. He cracked his neck, probably because either he has been playing for too long or because he was quite mad now. Nonetheless, he looked really intimidating. You're not going anywhere. It would be a lie if I said that he doesn't look really hot right now. I walked to his space and started finding a suitable charger for my phone when he leaned a bit to me. Why exactly are you mad? Like, this question isn't just igniting my rage even more. Because I have been wandering in your apartment, not knowing what to do from past 6 hours. I said, still looking for it everywhere, getting more annoyed by every second passing, and he pulled me by the wrist. And now I was facing him down as he smiled to himself proudly. Why don't you admit you just want my attention? I scoffed at his confidence. Okay, I want his attention, but I'm not any need to admit it ever. I rolled my eyes instead. Oh my god, how transparent I am. I want you. I need you. Oh baby, oh baby. I replied sarcastically and was going to exit the room because I was afraid my mood swing could possibly lead to little arguments. But to my surprise, I got pulled by him and now I was in his grip. My back against his chest as he held me much more than I could practically sense his warm breath on the side of my ear. Then why don't we play games together? He asked, snuggling a bit closer, his chin on my shoulder as he made me hold his controller. You play, and I'll see how good my girlfriend is. By this, I was embarrassed and shy at the same time. Shy because this felt like a scene from a rom-com movie. Embarrassed because I don't even know what game he plays, let alone knowing basic things. He patiently waited for me to start a new game when I just stared at the screen blankly, with his controller in my hand. This whole game thing felt like a math exam. He shifted a bit closer and pushed the chair a little to screen's direction, thinking as if I'm not comfortable. Yeah, like it's the only thing I could pay my attention to. What is it? He mumbled in a low voice. I glanced from the corner of my eyes, too embarrassed to speak up honestly. I don't know how things work. I should have just slept the whole day instead of coming here just to insult myself in front of him. Opposite poles do attract. I see, he simply said, holding my hand in his hand, opening the game. I was still confused both from the game and now even him. What? He leaned a bit more to maybe see my face and then pecked a soft kiss on my cheek. I'm qualified for nationals in e-gaming and you doesn't even know how things in here work. I was a bit hurt. He didn't have to put it like that. Even if he was just saying the fact, since he's known for his gaming skills, but he doesn't have to be this brutally honest. Which makes me happy since I can teach my girlfriend from the basics, so later we can play together. He continued making me switch emotions in 180 degree. Gosh, he was just being romantic, and I thought he was insulting me. I smiled as his words lingered in my mind, even if it was just him flirting here and there. He made me face the controller and started with real beginner's level. The buttons you see here are used in general basis. The one in front of a fire and reloading, and the circle in between is used for options of sprinting, walking, and jumping. Okay? He explained it really slowly and thoroughly, and it was just melting my heart by every second passing. I was literally smiling and nodding stupidly, like a child who's just happy because his parents is genuinely playing the imaginative game he made. There are some basic rules in every battleground you'll come across too. For example, character skill, gun attributes, speed, gun spray, headshot. Seeing him being so polite and respectful about teaching me without mocking my lower skills than a 5-year-old child was just so heartwarming. So I tried understanding my best and learning how well I could. After a few basic lessons, he let me play another much more simpler game so I could first train myself and practice endlessly before playing together his favorite game. To be honest, it was actually really interesting and I was so invested in it completely until I felt him wrapping his arm from behind as I was sitting comfortably on his lap, all cozy and warm. He then rested his face by snuggling in my nape, gently planting soft kisses in between to make me giggle from his touch. I'm sorry, he whispered, pecking my earlobe and then kissing again the crook of my neck. I was so tense as the game was starting to get more interesting, and his little kisses in between, and that too exactly on my sensitive spots. I swear I was in the game too much that I didn't notice how long I've been in here. For hours? I smiled secretly to myself, not saying anything, just to see how long he'll go on like this. I really didn't had any intention to ignore you. Hell, I could never do that, even if I'll be mad at you. This time, I smiled at his words. He must have noticed it since he started sounding more confident. If I'll intentionally ignore you next time, just feel free to smash my head in the nearest wall or even something hard you'll see. Gosh, he was making me so hard not to respond. Not the silent treatment, please, baby. He held me tightly that playing the game seemed literally hard in this squished position. I put the controller away and closed the screen now, shifting a little by laying my head on his chest as he wrapped me in his embrace. I love you, he said, kissing the top of my head and closing his eyes while I started feeling drowsy with the level of comfort I was getting out of this. I love you too, I replied as I slept in his arms.